Hey, it's Mirella Manelli here, and today I am with Ian, the national trainer for Schwarzkopf Professional, and they actually invited me here to their headquarters to troubleshoot some of my daunting fears of BLONDME Bleach Lightener, because they took a look at some of my previous YouTube videos.
We had some thoughts.
I'm sure you had lots of thoughts, but that's exactly why we're here today, right?
Yeah, I'm excited to watch this video together with you, where you actually did the BLONDME on a client,
yes.
And you had some questions in the videos, and we thought, like, what better opportunity than to take homegrown Schwarzkopf education and pair it with you, who's doing a phenomenal job.
Love that. I'm super excited.
Let's hit it.
Today I'm here at my salon and I'm doing the ultimate transformation. I recently used BLONDME 9 Plus on a client of mine on a recent YouTube video, and I had a couple little concerns when using the bleach lightener, so we're gonna re-watch the video today and kind of have Ian, oh my gosh.
It's short but sweet, it's Ian. Yeah, we're gonna, let's watch the video, because I know you had some questions in there about, like, am I doing this right, or is the timing correct? And I figured, you know, educator to educator, like, let's just talk through, like, maybe what I would do, or love what you did, and, like, we'll kind of, like, share techniques, and hopefully whoever's watching this video gets even that much more out of it.
Love it. Moment of truth, we're gonna go ahead and mix this up. Now, this is a brand new one because I did give the other bleach lightener to my team and they already used it. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and put in 1 scoop of this. So that's 25 grams right there. Now, I heard that a lot of you guys like the 1 to 1.5 mixing ratio for the purpose of lift. So I'm gonna just go ahead and use my 20 vol here. And I do like this developer, like, a lot. I just love how rich and creamy it is. So I'm gonna do the 1 to 1.5.
Okay, so legit, what do you, I mean, I know that the lid is a little bit of a thing, and we are doing something about it, like, just so that everybody knows, like, the lid is just, yeah, we know. We know.
Is this a bleach lightener that you have to, like, move before using?
Now, I will say this, and this is gonna lead us into something a little bit later, but I really feel like it's important to mention. With any lightener and whatever brand you're using, but I think especially 9 Plus, because it is a powerful but sensitive lightener, whatever you have it in, keep it sealed.
Okay.
Really important, because the persulfates, which are an ingredient that we can talk about later, they're what, like, they're the lifting agent, the oxidative salts that are in the lightener. They react to everything, including just humidity in the air.
Oh, interesting.
So
well, I mean, that would make sense, right?
Keep your lighteners
H2O2.
sealed. Yes, the reaction that happens. So even, like, moisture in the air can start activating a lightener, which could cause, like, reactions to happen.
Got it.
Yeah.
So we got that going on. Now, so far, like, I don't mind the smell. The smell's nice. It was a little dusty when I opened it up, just like it was on my bleach lightener series. And I am using a plastic whisk, but you can use the metal ones that are made for mixing, because there's just different kinds of metals, but that's a whole nother video. Okay.
Or a conversation.
Tell me, Ian, tell me.
Okay, I think...
Is it like, because those metal whisks are basically like a form of aluminum, which is our foils that we use to paint in. So
yes.
How is that bad?
I should have done my homework last night to research this, but if I'm not mistaken, there's a different kind of metal in the whisks that are made for, like, kitchen use, which are by and large what people are using.
Yes.
That's different than the aluminum. However, I'm gonna go ahead and squash the whole thing. I think most of us think whisk and we think scrambled eggs.
Yeah.
The way that, okay, so I prefer a plastic whisk any day, because it's plastic and it's one less variable that could cause a reaction for any lightener that you're using. But
I can agree.
the plastic whisk that you're using here, the arms, they're far enough apart, and you're not, like, You're just moving the lightener and the
Like homogenizing it together.
Yes, you're folding in the lightener. And so for that reason alone, I think a whisk is okay because you're not working it, you're just incorporating, really. I think that that is completely fine. I've seen people mix lightener with like cutting combs. I personally just don't like to make extra dishes at home, so I just use my brush. But as long as you're gentle about how you mix it, I don't see a problem with it at all. I'm gonna put 20 grams in mine, and then I'm gonna give you my, I'm gonna put 20.
I like the 20 grams
my
much
scoop.
better because I feel like 25 grams doesn't make sense if you're gonna do 1 to 1.5.
Oh my God, I try to stick to like even numbers when I'm doing hairdresser math when it comes to mixing. And then
Well, what are your thoughts on grams versus ounces?
I hate ounces.
Same.
Well, here's why. Schwarzkopf Pro, we're a European brand, and they use the metric system there, so it's like grams or milliliters or whatever. It makes sense to me because they're just like, 10 grams, 20 grams, so like 30 grams, I think if I'm not mistaken, is roughly an ounce. But then you're like, okay, I'm gonna use 1.25 ounces, anybody. I'm gonna use 1.25 ounces of this and 1/8 ounce of that and 3/4 ounce of this. How much developer do I put? And I'm like,
I like grams because if I need 5 grams of something, like just the tiniest little bit, that's why I like it. Because otherwise, 1/2 ounce is a lot.
or like when you're working with like concentrates even, and you just need like a.
So we're gonna put our developer in?
Yeah, I did, my scale turned off, so I did 20, you did 20?
I did 20, but are we doing 1 to 2 or 1 to 1.5?
Dealer's choice.
I'm gonna go with the 1 to 1.5. So
Okay.
I'm gonna put 30 grams of my developer.
Should I do 1 to 2 just to see like what the difference would be in like the consistency?
let's
Okay,
do it.
so I'm gonna,
I typically prefer a thicker lightener. I just feel like I like that like toothpaste kind of
that's
feel.
a good analogy.
Yeah. And one of the things that was interesting for me with this lightener is that even at the 1 to 1.5, it does feel like kind of thin. But I also didn't mind it in my video. Like after I started using it, I was like, oh, I actually kind of like how I can see how like somebody with really thick hair, how it can really saturate relatively easily.
Yes.
So for that reason, I did like it. And I think the reason why I didn't mind the viscosity is because of the developer, it being that it's thick. I think that's kind of what richens it up. I don't know if that's even along the right lines.
Yeah, no, our developers specifically have a higher oil content in them, which really kind of acts as like a sealant to the strand of hair, which kind of forces the moisture to stay in as you're lifting, was the idea behind how we did that. But the consistency, I like a 1 to 2, you like a 1 to 1.5. We've mixed them respectively. I do a lot of foil work with 9+, and I find that even if I take slightly thicker slices, like you said, I get good penetration because it is.
It moves through the hair relatively easily.
Yep.
I mean, that's the best way. So what would you say to stylists? Because in the real world, I think that a lot of hairstylists might not use the dedicated developer with the dedicated bleach lightener. What would you say to that? Is that like a big no-no? Or would you say you should and have to use this developer?
I have a really good answer for that, actually. I work, obviously, for Schwarzkopf Professional, but I have a really good answer for that. If you use the 9+, because of the lift that it gives you, because the smell, the consistent, whatever it is that you're using the 9+ for, I'm gonna probably repeat this in different ways over our video here. We designed something very specifically to work a certain way. And so legally, if we say it will give you up to 7 levels of lift, 9 levels of lift, this time frame, it was tested within an inch of its life in a lab in Germany. And so as an artist, you feel free to go off course and do what you want. The manufacturer won't support that by recommending it.
Right.
Will something happen if you mix a different developer with it? 100%. Will you still get lift? 100%. Is it going to be within the guidelines that we've said that it's going to give you? We don't know.
Okay. I mean, I agree with that. I'm a big believer in using the dedicated developer with the product. You're going to get the best results from it. I mean, like you said, all of the
100%.
brands test with that specific developer. They know that the results are going to give you with that developer.
You said it in your video. The developer for BLONDME is very rich. It's very lotiony. It's very creamy because BLONDME has the ability to give us the 9 levels of lift.
I mean, that's kind of how I judge a lot of the bleach lighteners that I use is based off of the developer because to me, like we know the ammonia, the sodium persulfate, the muscle of the bleach is in this box, but your developer is like your conditioners and buffers. And if there's a lot of richness within that, it's kind of telling me, oh, I got a little cushion here. So little hydration.
Love it. So how do you, so if you're gonna, so you used a whisk in your video. Again, I don't have a problem with that. Us, SKP. Just slowly homogenize.
So then what's your opinion on like those electric mixers?
I think that's, I think that those are phenomenal for like mixing color. Like permanent color, like demi, when you've got like things that you got to do. I think that's a good like set it and forget it kind of a moment. I think for lighteners, given how sensitive each brand's can be, even by like the way they recommend that you mix them. I think it's good to just kind of keep lightener. Because
some brands will recommend that you use the electric mixer, and there's some brands that will say whisk it together, and there's some brands that say use a brush and homogenize it, fold it in together. So what does...
I like a brush.
You like a brush.
But I'm also an OG hairdresser from when time started, and we didn't have fancy whisks or mixers or anything. So let's mix together.
I like me personally, I usually don't like doing the brush, and if I do, I'm getting a brand new brush.
Of course.
Because I like to have a clean brush.
We're not animals.
I mean, sometimes I am.
I mean, it depends on the time of day and how many bowls of lightener I'm in a client. But when I mix, I tend to like scoop around the side with the brush, and then what I do is I take the brush this way and I drag it across the bottom to make sure that I'm getting out any clumps. So then I come around and then I scrape across the bottom.
Okay.
Come around, scrape across the bottom.
And is this to like get rid of any of little clumps or anything like that?
And it does. I mean, the lightener itself does, like those little powder nubules, they break down really easy. And it doesn't take a lot. So I feel, that the actions I'm doing right now are not very different at all from you using the whisk, the plastic one that you did. And then when it's all said and done, I mean...
Oh yeah, yours is way more creamier than what I'm doing.
What are you doing?
I don't know, I'm trying. I think I just need to do a couple more. I think I'm doing it too slow.
I think this whole like, come around once and then drag and I push the powder into the bottom of the bowl, and then I just collect around the edges, push at the bottom.
Yeah, I think I'm like epically failing at that.
Nah. There's some nuance to how you mix.
I mean, there's a learning curve to everything.
But here's the deal. I would say, for anybody who's like familiar with the kitchen at all, mixing our lightener anyway is not like scrambled eggs. It's more like a brownie mixture or like a cake mixture, something where like if you mix it too much, you could start to aerate it or make it react differently.
I will say, mixing it this way, although my brush is it's brushing. But aside from that, I do think that the viscosity feels different than when I mixed it in there.
Okay. So is there a chance maybe when you mixed it there?
I might have to make a YouTube video about this.
I'm doing a bad thing here. Was the whisk in its arms maybe not tight enough to break apart the powder to make the mixture thicker?
I felt like I broke apart the little balls in there and it was relatively smooth. I don't know. I'm kind of like thinking that maybe this is the trick because this feels pretty thick actually. This is what I like.
Nice. Yeah. When I watched your video first, I was like, how is she getting a thinner mixture for 1 to 1.5? Because typically we have the flexible mixing ratio so that if you like something thicker, you can make it more toothpastey. And if you like it thinner, or like you have a lot of hair to get through, you can make it so that it's like penetratable. In a 1 to 2. And then personally, 1 to 1.5, 1 to 2. If I were gonna do 1 to 2.5, would be like I'm doing some open air stuff, quick color corrections. Like I just need it to saturate and lift at the same time. Yeah. Shall we continue?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
So far, just like it did in my bleach lightener guide, it's like mixing up kind of like really thin. Now, I do know that this thickens up, so we'll see. We'll see how I like this as I put it on my client. I'm really hoping that you guys don't do me wrong with this one.
Now, before I get started,
I love how methodical you are.
I'm dealing with kind of a really interesting canvas. We've got some virgin hair going on here, and then we also have some darker pigment here with like previous highlights. So this is going to be a little bit like of a delicate application just because her hair is so fine. So I definitely want to like be cautious of that. So that's why, again, I'm going to go in with the TZ light. So I think we're just going to go kind of straight across here, and her hair is kind of fine. So to start off with like a little bit wider of a section is going to be totally fine. The good thing is she doesn't really have any bands or anything, but I'm really curious how this is going to lift. But this is like a really good example here. Like her hair is really light to me right in this zone, and then this dark pigment. So this will be like a fun test to see, you know, how well BLONDME does. Okay, so this is one of the things.
Well, we have to let that commercial happen. However, that's a really good point because I really did want to ask you. This has actually nothing to do with BLONDME. I think it might be just like a fun nugget knowledge for me. You have your section of hair. You comb down in the same motion you push back. What is that?
I actually learned that from another hairstylist on Instagram, and I was like, that is so smart, because when you're doing TZ lights, the worst part about it is the detangling process after. So if you're combing it down and then doing one push-up, and again, depending on how much, you know, hair you want to remove, if that's 25% or 75%, right? It depends on how far down you go. But I loved that combing it, like organizing it and pushing it up, because later you'll see in the video, I'll go through and I start kind of combing it out, and it is so easy. It's like a time saver, and it saves your client's hair, because how many clients have complained about their hair breaking from TZ lights, you know?
I, like, golden nugget.
All right, so let's go ahead and try this TZ light hack,
No, I'm in.
All right, cool.
I'm getting like a private lesson. This feels like so much fun. This never happens.
It's always fun learning new tips and tricks from everybody, right? Like that's how.
Well, that's when they were like, you're gonna come in and do some filming with Mirella, and I was like, oh my God, I never get to be on like the learning side. I'm always teaching, so this is phenomenal.
So hopefully this works good on this mannequin, but basically I start out with a slice.
It's a pretty thin slice.
Yeah, pretty thin slice, and then you're just gonna comb all these hairs down to organize it, and then just do one little push-up. And that did not work very well. Maybe your mannequin works better.
Maybe. She might have more, because sometimes I feel like mannequin heads, the hair is like so perfect from root to tip.
That's kind of what's happening right here. Oh, definitely.
Okay. Well, I've already, this one has already been through a little chaos, so maybe this one will work better. Here, let me try. Oh, I'm gonna mix up some lightener.
Here, you can use mine.
Okay. And this is the 1 to 1.5.
That is the 1 to 1.5. And like I said, I do think that's pretty thick. That's definitely not as thin as it was on my YouTube video.
Okay, fair enough.
So maybe that's the trick, is the homogenization, is that the word? The folding it in with the brush.
Okay, so I'm gonna take a slice. I think mine is a little thicker than yours, but, so taking a slice, and I'm organizing, and then.
Yay, that's it. Look at how like nice that looks. And then usually like if you want to, like I'll go through and weave if I really wanted to, but I feel like even with this thin slice, it looks so good. It looks like a really
So I would want to
baby
like
light.
keep that out of the way.
Oh, totally.
And then what? You just put your foil down
Yeah.
and paint.
And paint.
Now you could, obviously I could saturate this, or I could do like a whole, I think you did in your video like a gradation kind of a vibe, or?
Yeah, so I like to apply and then do like mid zones to the ends, and then I stroke it up. So I get that like nice blend.
That's right, you do what, I love like this, like
Yes.
the gently pushing it upwards so
Yes.
that like where it's less dries out, the whole thing.
And that's kind of why I like a thicker bleach lightener, because it's more pasty. So I'm gonna get a better lift, especially in that blend zone, because what happens sometimes with the thinner lighteners is that it starts to dry out and then you get that weird orangey band.
Yeah.
So that's why I like the thicker ones.
It's almost like when it's thicker, it just sits on the surface and like, yeah. All right, so then I should then just fold this guy up and keep going section by section.
I kind of want to try this lightener. Can I use your mannequin?
Yeah,
Because
yeah, please.
mine was like not very good.
Yeah.
She has unrealistic hair.
This is
It's like the same length from root to tip on everything. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do my own side here. Yeah, this mannequin just moves up a lot
Yeah.
nicer. And usually even though I do like one stroke up, I'll just kind of like brush those out, like if you don't have a clip.
You do.
Human clip.
I'm just, yeah, this is cool.
Yeah, usually I use a board, honestly, too, but. Okay, so moment of truth. Yeah, this feels a lot thicker. This is literally a better viscosity, and I think it's just the way I mixed it, because when I did it with the whisk, it definitely was more drippy, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So this feels a lot thicker, and you can even see that.
I feel like maybe this is just like a general tip for powders is, like our brushes they're textured at the end, so it gives you like better like possibility to like break up the powder, I guess.
Yeah. I will say, and you'll notice like in the video, like when I'm pushing the hair open, it was almost a little easier to push the hair open with it thinner versus this. And it was the same mixing ratio. So it's just a matter of difference in how it was mixed, you know?
So then like, okay, if you mixed it 1 to 1.5 with the brush and everything got more homogenized and it's giving you like that slightly thicker consistency.
Yeah.
If you wanted something thinner, you could mix it with a whisk or do a 1 to 2 mixing ratio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. I can definitely see this gives me a little bit more flexibility in the viscosity, but then that poses the question does it really make a difference in lift when it comes to 1 to 1.5 versus the 1 to 2.5?
Technically, yes. And you said it in your video, that powder lighteners are what hold the alkaline, the ammonia, the alkalinity that makes it like high on the pH. And our developers are like 3.0 to 3.5 acidic. So in a mixture, like I said, you said it perfectly, the more developer you have, the slightly lower the pH, which means that you are sacrificing slightly the amount of lift that you would expect. So 1 to 1.5 would give you, minimally more lightening or lift than 1 to 2.5. So yeah, that is totally a thing.
Would you recommend that if you're working on like super dark hair, then to mix up the 1 to 1.5 or maybe like a 1 to 2 versus the 1 to 2.5?
So, oh my God, there's like...
Or just as like relative to like what you're really trying to do, like how much lift?
I think this brings up like 3 things to me about like lightening that I've seen a lot. One is your mixing ratio. Whether it's thicker, thinner, more developer, less developer, that will slightly affect the amount of lift you get, yes. What I'm seeing a lot of on applications for lighteners that don't work is people are taking like super thick slices or super thick weaves, and then the lightener technically has more hair to work through.
You're not getting the penetration on the backside of the hair.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I find that sometimes, not in this case, but something to like think about is people maybe think, I'm just calling a fact out separate from us, is that people maybe think a lightener doesn't work, but their sections are too thick, or rather not thin enough for that lightener to penetrate through. So it depends on the placement. It depends on the amount of hair that you're putting that lightener on. It depends on the mixing ratio of your powder and your developer. There's a few different variables as to why something would lift more than something else, or a different mixing ratio. And then you've got our 7 volume, our 20 volume, our 30 volume. Like there's a lot of wiggle room for you to get the consistency you want, the lift that you want, depending on the hair that you're working with and the placement that you're attempting to do.
So I have a little bit bigger of a section here. So I'm gonna keep on with this Teasy Light application. I feel like she's got lots of different lengths going on, so I'm pretty confident that we're gonna get a similar dimension like what we got on those hair extensions. That's ultimately my goal. I don't know, I'm feeling like maybe I do like the thinner feeling bleach lightener. Is that weird? I feel like I like the thicker lighteners just because they stay where they need to be, but I also feel like this one's doing this too. So completely different experience than doing the level 2 swatch, obviously. But it'll be cool to see like how well this processes on her head. I was like low-key, like not walking into this with high expectation, that I actually like how this feels applying it. I think once I do your blending sections towards the top, that might change my mind, but we shall see. So yeah, this is gonna be the moment of truth for me right here on this section, because this is where I'm gonna do my blending to see, because I'm not gonna take this up so high. I'm looking for the lift for sure. Like, I obviously have not seen that yet out of this bleach, so that's going to be the true test. Now this is what I use bleach lightener for right here, is applying and blending. Like,
Okay, I have a question.
yes.
On your model, okay, I love this business. We've covered that though. Okay, so you've got your model, you've got your board, you've got your hair pulled down. This 3 inches of your client's hair was virgin, and then this, I don't know, 5-6 inches down at the bottom was color treated. So I would love to know your artistic approach for putting one lightener with I think you did 20, right? 20 volume?
I did do 20.
Straight through.
Straight through, yes. Okay, so the real answer is I only had 20 volume available. Now, realistically, in hindsight, looking at this video again, should I have maybe used a lower volume developer at the top? Yes. But, and maybe I could have even done like a color remover to prep her hair also. That there's so many different variables with that. But I think realistically, like I just genuinely had the 20 vol, and I did have the 6 vol, but for Igor of Vibrance, and I wasn't sure if I could like mix those two together, so I was like, you know what, we're just gonna go in with the 20 vol and call it a day. That's my honest answer, and I feel like a lot of hairstylists probably work that way too, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Is it like the best approach? Probably not.
No, but you know what, I will say.
That was me without my educator hat on for the day.
If anybody out there watching this teaches or is a mentor to a younger colorist, we all have that moment where you're like in the zone, you're like, I'm just doing it. Like I know better, but I'm just gonna do it or whatever. No. Yeah. If you only had 20 and you were trying to make it exclusively BLONDME, it totally makes sense.
And realistically, I kind of wanted to use a 20 vol. I do know that a lot of hairstylists love using the BLONDME 9 Plus with the 7 vol. Yeah. They love it. I've received so many DMs about it and even comments on my channel. 1 to 1.5 with 7 vol. That's like low and slow. I constantly hear it. But I really wanted to kind of push the hair, and she did have fragile hair. Yeah. She did have delicate hair. It was kind of broken. I was willing to kind of take that risk. Yeah. Side note, she is a family member, so
I think she was okay. But, but she didn't have any breakage. I will say that. Just a little disclaimer there.
I mean, before we
surprisingly, it did really well. So.
It did. I mean, like, the whole thing was beautiful at the end. That was just like, we were watching it earlier, and I was like, okay, I'm so interested to see. However, I will say, in defense of your approach, with virgin hair being here, yes, but she told you that she had old highlights under here. So
she did,
I wouldn't have gone with a stronger lightener down here either.
Really?
No, because
Do you think that the 7 vol would have given me the same lift?
I think doing 7 volume up here and then 20 volume down here would have been a beautiful marriage.
Okay.
Only because, and nothing was...
I thought you meant like you wouldn't use 20 vol over the previous highlights.
Well, because there's so much color down there.
Yeah.
I even when, like, remember that consultation, you were like, "What, do you have color on your hair?" And she's like, "No." And I was like...
Yeah, you can tell.
But it's like a minefield. When you have old highlights that have been covered up by color and you don't know where they are, you can't push it with like 30 volume. And you know for a fact 7 volume is not going to live through that color. So absolutely 100%, I think 20 was the perfect choice. I would have done the exact same thing. Probably just would have done like 7 here because those foils were probably sitting for like, what, 45 minutes?
I mean, we're going to see it later, but it did get a little light.
Yeah.
On the top.
But then
to be expected.
You used our vibrance and formulated perfectly to like make everything. I mean, hello. This is good.
What? Okay. Oh my gosh. Let's keep blending here. This. All right, YouTube, you guys have officially convinced me so far with the application. We need to see the lift though, like I mentioned. Is it going to deliver the kind of lift that I need? Because let's be real, this is a delicate canvas. She needs the lift. She's got some fine, fragile hair. Is it going to remove that pigment? And is it going to lift it evenly? I did give it a hard job to do today, that's for sure. I am on my 3rd bowl of lightener, and each bowl has had 25 grams of the bleach, or the powder. That seems like a lot for how like little bit of hair she has. Every time it's like super dusty. So let's go ahead and mix this up. So maybe like the 1 to 1.5 is probably good, but like I feel like if you want to make it stretch a little bit, like the 1 to 2 might be kind of nice, you know? Maybe even the 1 to 3. I have a friend that actually likes 1 to 3 with BLONDME, and she does a lot of dark hair.
Is that I know, is that, no, because I heard you say 1 to 1 or 2.5. So is there a 1 to 3?
No.
Okay, because I have friends that do 1 to 3.
Okay, but
they swear by the 1 to 3.
So yeah, like I'm the face of SKP, right? Like I'm like the human rule book for SKP. However, we just did the math, right? Like 20 minutes ago, like, you know, the more developer you have, the thinner the consistency will be. However, you're sacrificing lift because there's a much more acidic or lower pH in there, kind of affecting the whole thing. So I have like a little, I don't know, like a little saying for myself, and like even like our education team, like if you ever come across an artist or some sort of creative hairdresser who's using our products in a way that's like creative for them and that it works for them, and they're not coming back and saying, look, it didn't do this, it didn't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, is it still lifting for them? I'm sure it is. Is it giving them what they want consistency-wise? Yes. Do they find that that exact mixture is appropriate for whatever they're working on? I mean, we want people to use our products. We just, I think I'm like the bumper guardrail kind of guy. Like I just am like, if you stay over here, you'll be within the
parameters of what it's going to do.
Yeah.
And let's be real, rules are made to be broken.
I've never, ever broken a rule, ever, before in my life.
Lies.
Okay. Yeah, that was it for that, right?
Keep watching.
Okay, yeah.
Do you feel like it's swelling at all? Like,
okay, so that has been the #1 complaint across the board with a lot of people who have tried BLONDME is that it does swell a lot. I'm not really experiencing that just yet, although I'm not doing like scalp foils, but doing what I'm doing today with like the teasy lights, I kind of don't see it yet. The only thing I'm a little concerned with is the processing time though, is because this does say 45 minutes. So it does kind of scare me sometimes when there's such a short processing window with bleach, just because after working with different bleach lighteners, and I know some work really rapidly and some are kind of like nicely slow paced, but realistically, like as a stylist, we're kind of like letting ish process for like hours, you know what I'm saying? So I just gotta keep my eye on this one. I've never used it before on a client, so like I said, the heat can make a huge change in how it's lifting.
Or
but
no change.
So yes, 20 to 45 minutes is the guidelines. Those are the instructions, 20 to 45. Yes, it is. It is. But I have to say, a lightener, a bleach, whatever, it's a lightener, it's a lightener, it's a lightener. Any lightener that's kept in that environment to lift will still lift, ours included. It's just that if you mixed it with, 20 volume and your experience tells you I'm gonna go from here to here in that 45-minute time frame, you'll get that because we've tested it to work that way. If I leave it, the lift, instead of going, is gonna be like, it's gonna keep going, but like.
Love the sound effect.
Yeah, I mean, I love that your model also was like, I need like a little. So we're following suit here. But yeah, it's 20 to 45 minutes, I would say on average. If you use it for a quick little reason at the bowl for like 5 minutes and it works, great. If your experience in like a foil production like this, where you've like left it on an hour and the hair is still fine, cool. We're just managing, I guess, expectations for what to expect that we say you're going to get in the timeline that you're going to get it.
So what, like, I guess why would you have like a 45-minute window? Because like some bleach lighteners offer 50 minutes, 60 minutes, and there's even a bleach lightener out there that offers 2 hours of processing time, which is crazy. But what would you say for, like, so the 45-minute is kind of like, would you say is more of a guideline?
Yes.
Versus you need to take it off at this time?
Oh my God, absolutely. Yeah. I think it all kind of comes back to, again, like, I don't know.
And I'm just speaking from like, especially like the new hairstylist, right? Like when you're in beauty school, I think most cosmetology students, they tend to be a little bit more rule followers.
Yes, rigid.
Very
Of
rigid,
course.
because
Yeah.
you want to make sure you're not doing any of the wrong things and making sure that the integrity is good.
Learning the rules before you break them.
Totally, yeah.
Okay.
So 45-minute processing time, 9+ guideline.
I would say because what significant lift, perceivable actual lift that's meaningful is pretty much done at 45 minutes. It will continue to lift. How much, we don't know. Because it went on what kind of hair, color treated, what mixing ratio, like remember all those variables. I think our goal at SKP, Schwarzkopf Professional, is to just set the guardrails for what to expect in the way that we've tested it. I don't actually think there's much outside of the rules so much that even you're doing or even newer stylists are doing that is like off the wall. I mean, like if people are mixing our lightener and like putting it in the microwave, I would take issue. But yeah, 45 minutes is basically like the most efficient part of that lift is almost over at that point.
Yeah. So then reapplication be okay?
Totally. Absolutely. Scrape some off and reapply more. I think that's a brilliant move.
Speaking my language.
Yeah.
So far we got 75 grams of powder on a thin client's head at a 1 to 1.5 mixing ratio.
And not even fully done with the back.
No, I'm not. After mixing up this third bowl lightener, I left this foil like this, and you guys, it's already lifting. It's already lifting. Like, can you see the difference?
You can kind of see it.
You can kind of see it. This looks like a level 5 brown already.
It was hard to see on the camera, but
Yeah.
it was lifting. So I literally applied it and I was like, oh, I need no more. And I mixed it up.
Yeah.
And when I walked back, so figure what, like 5 minutes, 7 minutes?
Sure.
Because we were recording too. And I was kind of surprised it was already like shifting
Yeah.
the color. So
Yeah.
it does. I feel like, is this bleach lightener kind of like one of those lighteners that starts off really strong and then like starts to settle? or is it a steady pace?
Okay.
How would you describe this one?
Do you want to get nerdy for a minute?
Let's do it.
Okay, so lighteners out in the world use different kinds of persulfates. We've discussed persulfates, oxidative salts. Those are what do the lift, right? So the power's in the powder. How fast you want to get there is basically what your developer is. So 7 volume is a little slower. If you need it, great. 40, never better thing. So we chose in the BLONDME 9 Plus 3 persulfates specifically that, like, if you look at like a timeline of lift, there's one that kind of keeps things steady no matter what the time is, but it's very, very slow. It's a very weak persulfate, but it still is doing like the trick. So if you imagine like a chart, like it's just this kind of one that kicks in and like kicks off when it does. We also have one, a persulfate, that it kind of kicks in fast, but then peters out fast, and then like maybe in the middle of your development time, by itself would stop lifting.
Okay.
Like you've seen in a foil, like it stops at that level 7.
Right.
But then we have one that kind of overarches all of them and kicks in after that second one. Yep.
Yeah.
And then kind of rides out here and then continues to lift. But at the end of it, by that 45 minutes, like we were just saying, they're kind of all petered out and tired. So we chose 3 different persulfates that kick in at different points in the lightener process so that you get a bit more consistent lift. I will say this, because we chose those 3 persulfates specifically for 9 Plus, and because persulfates are finicky, they don't like humidity, they don't like moisture, they don't like minerals, they don't like metals, they don't like oils that might be in the hair already. Those are what can cause sensitivities, like any sort of like heating up or like a puffing action or things like that.
Well, this just kind of like validates why, as a hairstylist, you should really be mixing up a fresh bowl every like 15, 20 minutes because you want to make sure that every strand of hair is taking advantage of the full power that the bleach lightener
Equally treated. Yeah.
5 brown already. In comparison to this, like almost looks like a 3. Freaking 3. It's all very dark. So, okay.
Okay, so let's fry it up before my hair fries in the bottom.
It's not gonna fry. I promise it's not gonna fry.
So
You'll
the
be
bottom's
fine.
all
You'll be
blonde.
fine. You're gonna survive. I'm also kind of purposely like getting this on really quickly as a regular stylist who's really busy behind the chair, just kind of, like obviously you want to like do a good job and do your application great, but I'm also kind of like, okay, realistically, let's put this on in the salon because sometimes you ain't got time. I shouldn't probably be saying that in front of my client.
I was like, wait, what the?
So we're right here at the front, and I'm gonna continue on. Now, so far, like, I would say, like, my only negatives about the bleach lightener, it's kind of thin. So I know I've already said that, but I kind of also don't mind it. I'm kind of learning that I kind of like it. And I would probably say another negative for me where it just kind of scores a little low is the flexibility in the processing time. I would love a lightener that kind of gives me that flexibility, especially when doing like big projects like this. I just remembered something that I also kind of don't like about this bleach lightener, and this is just a preference for a lot of you hairstylists out there. I kind of low-key don't like the blue pigment in some of the bleach lighteners. Most of my reasoning for that is because it just plays a trick on your eye. You can't really see like the true lift sometimes as it's processing, but this will be kind of like interesting to see like how exactly this does lift, and after that processing time is done, how we're gonna see this canvas, how it's gonna appear to my eye, and then actually how it washes out once we remove it. Because sometimes it looks a lot lighter, but again, it's like a preference, and I think a lot of the times, like, you get to learn how bleach lighteners work, and you just know what the look of the hair is supposed to be in order for you to get that true level 9. Although we're not trying to go to level 9 with my client today, we're just trying to get dimension. I think I'm gonna put this last.
So really quickly,
No, let's do it. Let's do it.
I love how awkward this feels. I was like, I don't like BLONDME bleach lightener, and here I am. Okay, so.
I want to say first, just for everybody, like, yeah, I'm national trainer, SKP or whatever, but your experience is your experience. And I hope that this is like, I'm just hopefully offering you tips to like maybe circumvent some of those frustrations or whatever. Like nothing you did was off or weird or wrong. Like I actually, like, I feel like we'd be similar colorists if we worked side by side in the salon. So thank you for this opportunity.
Well, thank you for allowing me to come here. But I will say, you know, any blue lightener I've ever used, I mean, across the board, the blue pigment does play a trick on your eye. So does the blue pigment actually contribute to the neutralization on your client's hair?
No. It is blue just by nature of design. I will say that originally we had made the powders blue so that like if you put it on like somebody like me, for example, and I'm sitting in front of the mirror, I won't see that kind of intense kind of marigold egg yolk yellow. It's mainly ideal to mask that warmth from clients. I get why it can be annoying to a stylist because it literally does play a trick on your eyes when you're opening the foil to see it. But there is still anti-yellow technology in the lightener. And it's not, I think a lot of people think that the blue that happens to be the color of the powder is what's getting rid of that orange. But remember we had talked about those persulfates? Mm-hmm. Those are actually what are eating the pheomelanin, or that like goldy, reddy, orangey, goldy yellow, pale yellow. The persulfates are what are eating those. So the combination specifically of those persulfates is the anti-yellow technology.
Okay.
Not really the color of the powder, which is designed to mask what the client is seeing, so that they're not freaking out making like, oh my God, is my hair gonna be orange? Like, no, it's not gonna be orange. We know who that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not gonna actually neutralize.
No. The color of the powder has nothing to do with the neutralization. It's the persulfates in the mix. But our bleach-in tones are the pigments that you add in, the anti-red matte, the anti-orange ash, and the anti-yellow violet that you can just add right into the bowl that help you tone as you're lifting.
And it goes right into your bleach.
Right into the bleach.
That's amazing. I definitely want to play with those.
Yeah, for sure.
That sounds really fun.
So here we are. Let's see what's kind of going on back here. I'm gonna flip. Ooh, these feel super warm. They feel really warm. They feel like kind of almost hot. And I think this is kind of like what a lot of BLONDME users are feeling. Oh, and I do feel the swelly swell. I definitely feel the swelly swell going on inside of this. Wow, wow, wow. Okay, so we got lots of warmth, lots of heat going on, and I can feel the swelling action. But let's take a peek at this bottom one, because I would say I've spent about 45 minutes. I haven't really looked at the time, but I would say I've spent about 45 minutes with just applying the back and the sides. I have not finished the top just yet. OMG. OMG. Look how blonde that is. I'm gonna wipe this off. I just gotta wipe this off. I have to wipe this off. I need to see. Because again, the blue plays a trick on your eye, so you just like don't know. I do see like this isn't as lifted as that. And that is to be expected because she does have color deposit. But honestly, I'm not mad about that. Like this is what we needed to lift her to. And overall, I mean, it looks pretty even considering she has like all of this old dye down here. So usually what I like to do after I take down my bleach foil is I'll just start undoing my teasy light. It just makes it a lot easier when you go through and start washing your client out. Let's take a peek at this guy here. Okay, this one's not as exciting. It's still pretty late. It is pretty late, but opening this up, I'm like, little resaturation here. But yeah, I think it's because it's definitely like a thinner lightener. Even at the 1 to 1.5, it's not as thick as I'd like it to be, but I think for that reason, it's surprisingly doing a really good job. I'm gonna like let that bake. If that one's not quite there yet, I think what I'll do is I'll take this down once I'm done with the top. So it is working pretty quickly. I will give it that. The heat and the swelling a little bit for me is a little questionable, especially if I'm doing like a scalp light or something like that. But in this case of teasy lights, like where I'm not really worried about getting it all the way to the root, not a big deal. Definitely a reaction kind of happening here. So that could be just from whatever she had on her hair previously, could be like minerals. I mean, there's a plethora of reasons why it will feel hot and swell up.
So what do you do to mitigate that?
Okay, it's hard. I mean, I'm not gonna skirt around it. BLONDME, a lot of people look to BLONDME 9+ because of its ability to get you there, wherever that is. And like, you're not mad about it.
Yeah.
However, I do have to say, let's talk about why it happens. Minerals in the hair, depending on where you live in the country, based on where your water comes from. So like,
We're here in California. We have a lot of hard water.
100%. Like my hotel right now, the water is not pleasant. So there might be minerals or metals in there that, again, persulfates don't like. Persulfates are like, if there's a party in this bowl, persulfates are like the very tipsy person who can get triggered really fast. Like persulfates don't like anything. So when they come into contact with something, they can react. I will say that, yeah, sure, maybe she had some minerals in her hair that the persulfates didn't like. Answer me this. I feel like the whole process throughout this video, yeah, if you felt warmth, 100% there was a reaction that was happening.
Yeah, they were pretty hot. I was almost expecting to open it up and it almost had like that liquefaction because that's how hot it was. So I was a little concerned.
Yes.
Initially, but.
And then the swelling was, would you say it was kind of like puffy foils versus like?
I would say they felt like a little bit of a puffy foil, but only on the underside, which is where she's contained a lot of her natural warmth and the heat radiating from her head. Yeah. I wasn't experiencing that on the top.
Okay, so a couple ways that we can kind of mitigate, circumvent, cut the snake off at the head would be like some sort of detoxing pre-treatment, like a purifying, deep cleansing kind of a shampoo or something. There's a million brands out there who have things. We also have something from our Color Essentials range, which is called Hair Primer. And the hair primer is a spray you put on before you do anything to the hair or after that shampoo. And it basically kind of acts like a magnet to get the metals away. It's almost like a metal detox within the SKP portfolio. Okay. You spray it down and it kind of like gathers things on the hair strand so that the lightener can go in and do its thing with less potential heating up, warming up, puffing, sort of expansion.
So you would recommend that product if you were doing a scalp foil, like someone that wants the highlights to look like they're growing right out of their head? Because I feel like that would be a concern for a new user, right? Like you don't want the foil or the product to swell up and then potentially get bleeding. Yeah,
of course, absolutely. Yep. So there's two things right off the bat that we could do. If you know for a fact you have a client that's coming in, the lightener you used to use just didn't cut it on that client. So you want to use 9+.
Yeah, you want something with a lot of power.
There's a couple, 2-3 things that you can do right there just to kind of help lessen any reaction that would happen.
All right, how do you feel right now?
Good, a little heavy.
You feel a little heavy? These are feeling really hot. Do you feel hot right now? You do?
I think I'm like sweating. A little bit.
It does feel a little warm. I'm gonna take a peek back here. Ooh, wow, okay. I think I need to show the camera this. So we just finished up putting in all of her foils. Like, check this top one out, okay? Like, this is not even the underneath. Like, that's pretty light. A little saturation there. And that's kind of like what I would normally do anyway, just like peek through and see what needs. But like, okay, what I'm noticing, hold on, let me open up a whole another foil here before I do that. Just so I can show you guys like what I'm seeing out of this lightener. And again, if you're a BLONDME user, please give me all the tips down below. Because so far, I really am liking the lift, and I am liking the way it feels, like the viscosity as I'm applying it. But like I am seeing how it's starting to kind of like swell, and it's almost like clumping together a little bit. And this is more along the lines of what I was expecting for a lift. I don't know if you can kind of see that here. And that's only because she has like a lot of color going on. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to continue to let this guy process. Oh, we'll fix that in a minute. But yeah, these get really hot. So again, we're kind of past that 45-minute mark. I'm just going to let her process. I'm going to continue to watch them, maybe do a little bit of reapplication as I go through, mix up a lower volume developer, and just keep an eye on it. I'm going to treat it like how I normally would. Now, of course, the main priority here is the integrity of the hair. That was one of the areas where there was a little bit more opportunity with the BLONDME, was in the integrity space. Again, I'm kind of like giving it a good challenge today though, because I am working on a delicate canvas here. So I'm gonna go ahead and like pause the camera because I really need to focus on like what's happening here in these foils. And when this is like almost done processing, I'm gonna bring you guys back so you can kind of see the lift of what we got with BLONDME.
There's two other things that I wanted to mention that, well, the two things we did mention, but I wanted to show you is the hair primer. It is, I mean, it's.
So this is what you would spray on the hair before you do anything?
Yeah, client comes in, honestly, like real talk, this is how exactly I would use it. Client comes in,
nice.
Yeah, right? Client comes in, I'm doing the consultation, I know we're doing color today, like I know it's happening. I'm gonna spray her down maybe like finger section, and then just lift up, spray, 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 and then run your hands through their hair while you're doing consultation, you know, make them feel whatever.
So this is a porosity equalizer, that's what this says. So where on the pH scale does this live?
This is, I believe, 5.5 to 6.5, so it is just on the acidic side of neutral, meaning that it's not going to further make an issue closing the cuticles, making it harder for your lightener to work. It is just below neutral, but still acidic, yes.
Love that. I love porosity equalizing sprays. I think they do a really good job in prepping the hair.
Yep.
I did not know you guys have this.
And the best part is that this has that kind of, it's called micro-pure technology, but it's like a little magnet inside of there that kind of gathers the impurities on the surface of the hair only. Like it's not going deep, deep into the hair, but it's kind of like making way on the surface for the hair for the lightener to go in. So you have, if you were gonna have a reaction at all, it just lessens that potential. So basically it's a combination of chelating agents that make this kind of work effectively right before any sort of lightening process.
Yeah. So this is generally good for color treated hair and non-chemically treated hair before any color service. It's not going to do anything to the virgin hair, basically.
No. It's like an added kind of layer of insurance to make sure that the hair is healthy. You're getting, you know, nice lift, less reaction.
I get asked all the time, like, what's a good porosity equalizing spray? So this is one I'd want to try.
And then, if like you live in an area where like the water is funky, I would absolutely do this. But in the BLONDME range, we've got new care that is coming as of, I think, August 2025.
Ooh, so this is new?
Brightening shampoo. So like, it is really meant to kind of remove any sort of product buildup, impurities that like live on the hair surface. I think.
So is this like slightly on the pH scale gonna swell the cuticle?
I mean, like barely.
Yeah.
But enough to disrupt what's happening to really clean the hair.
I would like that.
Yes.
As long as like you understand.
It's not like crazy, you know, over the top. But yeah, it is. It's designed to really clean the hair. So if you're in love with whatever lightener you are, hopefully 9+, and you need a couple things to use just to kind of help that process along and make sure that you're getting a nice, even, consistent, cool experience, these are two ways that you can kind of help to circumvent any sort of reaction that might happen.
Very cool.
Wow, wow, wow. Oh my God. I legit, like, look at that. That looks so good. I'm still dealing with a little bit of like hotness from the foils, but you know what? Like, look how even this turned out. I did need to process it a little longer in order to get this kind of lift, but so the 45-minute thing like kind of wasn't applied here. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep taking these out and brushing this through. Probably shouldn't have done that. That looks so freaking good. Okay, I need to take a peek at like what's happening at the very top. Let me take the side out too. Wow, honestly, okay, I feel like at first, like when I was doing this, I wasn't really like saturating how I normally saturate, but it was because I was feeling like it was just going through.
I think I just caught that. Why? What did you mean you didn't saturate like you would normally?
I was just kind of like getting it on really quickly. Like I'm thinking when my whole thought process behind doing the initial application was like, you know what? Let me get this on how a stylist would get it on, because they have, you know, no 2.5 hours, their next client's coming in. I mean, that's the reality of being in the salon. So when I was doing it, I was like, you know what? And put it on, you know what I mean? That's kind of like what I meant by that. Got it. Not that you shouldn't saturate properly. I'm just saying like I wasn't putting the extra time into each and every foil just because I was doing this video.
Got it. Cool. Something I just was like, oh, okay. Was maybe the consistency that you felt like you didn't need to, but cool.
Yeah, honestly, it felt like it was like a little on the thinner side because it was
right.
Going right on through it. So I just felt like I'm not going to spend extra time when it's not needed.
Okay, that makes
you know what I mean?
Perfect sense.
Yeah.
Got it.
I want to thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe. If there were some tips or new things that you learned about BLONDME like I did in this video, please let us know down below. And if you want to check out the full video and all of my other YouTube videos, make sure you head on over to Mirella Manelli. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and all the good things.
Nice. Well, since I'm going to follow suit here and say thank you so much for our Schwarzkopf Professional fans out there for chiming into our YouTube channel. If you want even more tips and tricks for anything that you've seen here or heard today, feel free to visit us at our e-academy. You can also find education information at our schwarzkopf-professionalusa.com. And if you need a laugh, check us out on TikTok. But ultimately, where you will find the most edutainment is on the Schwarzkopf Professional channel here on YouTube.
Love it. Thank you, Ian.
Thank you.